Hey, what's up, guys? This is T-Bone here. Welcome back to another stream. I'm going to be doing a deck building video this time where I'm going to talk about the cards that I'm using, the decks that I've come up with. Hopefully this could be useful for you. And I decided to do this as a stream just so that in case anybody has any questions, I can try and answer them live. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump right in and I'm going to show you the various teams that I've set up. And I'm going to be going through different bosses to try and showcase it. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to focus on like the biggest boss like Radiant or Corellian bosses, for example. But what I'm going to show you is what the cards are capable of based on what I have. And so with that in mind, I'm just going to go through maybe some lower level bosses, but I'm going to talk mainly about the cards I built, how I built them, why I built them, and how they work together. And then we can sort of help you and understand a little bit on how you can use what you have if you don't have the current event team. Rock for Life, welcome to the stream here. So I'm just going to be talking about some of the cards I've come up with for this particular event, and I'm going to also discuss, why I put them in there, what orders you can activate them in, and of course, if you already have the ultimate form for this particular event, this may not apply to you a whole lot, but there are going to be some teams that you can use where you can replace it with a current event deck, and you should see pretty good damage. So this is the first deck that I came up with. And so this is the Relentless Scholars. This is the card that I have for my killer skill for Chaotic Killer. It is at 2 stars, so I'm getting 600% damage boost instead of 400. So keep that in mind. I am going to get a little bit better damage output compared to some of you if you're using this particular ultimate form but only at 1 pink star. So that's my leader. And then I mentioned this before in the stream where I think that the Supreme Elohim and the Silent Knights makes a really good combination. And you're going to see this in action as well. Supreme Elohim will create power gems whenever you have any sort of a damage increase. And this is what Silent Knight's going to do. Relentless Scholars is going to have a little bit of that. And Starsong Wolfpack and the Full Moon Lunaris is in here to do gem upgrades, which will be really useful in boosting your overall damage. In terms of the relic, I did get a little bit lucky in that I had a 3 pink star relic from back in the day from Intrepid Voyager. So this allows me to break 4 shields. So that allows me to just not worry too much about breaking the shields, that I can use this. And then basically I just put in whatever relics I can to generate light gems on the board. I actually didn't have a lot of chaotic light gem relics this event, and so you're going to see that my relics are going to be pretty interesting because I couldn't use them. I couldn't use a lot of the Slayer relics for light that break shields. All right, so you're going to see a lot of differences. But I'm going to talk about this deck right here, and this is a very simple deck to use. I'm just going to use 3 keys for this, and you're going to see this in action. Now, like I said, this is not going to be the video where I'm going to show you the biggest hits that's possible, but I think you could use some of these ideas and build your own team around it, and you should see some pretty good success. So with this particular deck, all you have to do is activate from left to right. You want to make sure that you activate the Starsong Wolfpack before you activate the Lunaris card, because Starsong Wolfpack will also generate power gems, and so you want to make sure that what you have left over is going to be like whatever the net power gems are going to be. Then Lunaris can go ahead and just upgrade them all without additional further gem crush. So with this particular setup, if you take a look, so with 3 keys, I believe this is total about 300 trillion or so. I can see here. Yeah, so almost 300. I had about 243 overkill with 400. So just a little shy of 300 trillion from this particular setup on turn 0. Now, this isn't going to get you anywhere necessarily in like Corellium or Radiant, but it should be just fine for a diamond boss. All right. And we got Rock Deed as well as Giovanni and Panos. Hello from Greece. Welcome to the stream. Thanks, guys. And so that is team number 1. All right, so that's the first setup I have. And then now we can take a look at another setup here. I'm going to go through all of the setup I came up with the different bosses here. And I suppose I'll go ahead and take out this Inferno boss here. So this is the first one I came up with. And then I'm going to sort of scroll to the left. You can actually see this in my setup as well. If you go to my profile, you'll be able to see all the teams I come up with because I don't have VIP, so I don't have any of these teams hidden. So you can always look at my cards for any references. The next team I've set up, I'm using high performance unit area as a immortal killer booster for my Santa. Okay, and so I'm also using Starsong Wolfpack in here for the upgrade. And Silent Knights is the one I'm going to be upgrading because this is a immortal killer card. And so again, basically it's the same setup here, except I took out the ultra rare card Lunaris here, and in place of it, I put in my high performance unit area. And because I did that, I needed to put in 2 dark relics in here. Now, if you have chaotic killer relics that you can put in here that's dark, that's going to be a lot better. I don't, and so I used a couple of the immortal killer skilled relics here, and then I also need to make sure that I can spawn a little bit of light power gems, and again I'm using this relic to help me out. So this may not exactly be sort of the setup that can help you necessarily, like you may not be able to copy this, but the idea here is you need to make sure that you have a few relics so that you can spawn so you can activate the battle skill of high performance unit area, hopefully by turn 2. But even if you don't, as long as it's not against fear, you should be okay. Now this is Alacrity, so we're going to be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and use 3 keys here. I'm going to show you what this is going to be like. All right. And so if you take a look, what's going to happen here is I'm hoping that I get enough gems on the first turn so that I could actually go ahead and, I can actually match enough gems on turn 1 so that I can activate high performance area. If you don't match enough, I guess in this particular case, I should have used a boss that had a higher health. If you had if you don't match the light gems right away on turn 1, that's actually okay because you have turn 2 to take care of that. So I guess what I need to do is I need to go to, I'll just use this then. Let's take a look and see. Hopefully it's not a fear. It is fear, so that means I'm going to have to not make a mistake on turn 1. If this is a power gem silence boss, this is actually going to be okay. Because you can always activate high performance unit area even if you're hit with power gem silence. But in this particular case, what I need to do is I need to make sure that I spawn enough, which I do. Okay, so I actually matched enough so I can activate on turn 1, which I'm going to do. And you notice here I don't have enough light gems matched, but that's going to be okay because I can do this on the second turn. So you have 2 turns to match your light cards, but you only have 1 turn really to match your dark. That's why you want to put your dark gems at the very end so that you can guarantee that. Now that I've got, so basically I got hit by the boss, and so I'm just going to go ahead and again activate from left to right, and basically try to activate, try to do a power gem match with the highest power gems. And now let's take a look and see what our Silent Knight is capable of doing. So this is with 3 keys. And then with Silent Knight, so with this particular setup, I was able to do about 285 trillion. And I'm going to exit here because, like I said, this is not necessarily a setup like what I have with the teams I have. Not necessarily setups that can easily take down a Corellian boss within a good time frame, right? But it's meant to give you enough of damage to deal some damage so that you can get some scores on the board. This particular setup on turn 3 was able to deal 461. Now you could argue that you could probably play longer and deal more damage for sure, because you will have 3 turns worth of you have 3 turns worth of a boost for your immortals, so you can definitely take advantage of that. But against a fear boss, that's going to be a little bit harder. It's actually going to be easier if you go against a power gem silence boss, because you can always use high performance unit area to dispel it. All right, so let's see if we can find a boss that is power gem silence, and then let's see, maybe I could use this as an example. And this is also a deck that works well for Diamond Boss with 1 key. So with this particular setup, I think I should be able to do this with 1 key. So we're gonna go back, we're gonna try this just with a single key, and we'll see how we do there. John Wilson, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining me here. So this is the second setup here. This one uses high performance unit area, and really it's just going to be powering up Silent Knights. Now you may have other, you may have better teams than what I'm showing here, and that's okay. You can definitely use that. What I'm doing is I'm just using what I have in my, in my for my setup, right? This is what I have in my inventory, and that's what I'm going to go with. All right, so again, we're going to use the second turn here to do a gem match for the light gem so that we can have enough to activate on turn 3. And this is a diamond boss at 120 level 129, but if you use this setup, you should be able to take out you should be able to take out the boss within a single key on turn 3. So let's take a look and see how much damage we can do. Again, Silent Night is going to give you the bulk of the damage here, but you can also pay attention to my scholars and also my, I guess in this particular case, I don't think I did a good match, but it did deal more than half here. And because it's going to be fear, that is going to be a little bit of a challenge unless I can dispel it. I do have a card, and that is the card I'm looking at is Relentless Scholars. It will also dispel buffs after a certain period, and you can notice that I still have my buff. Okay, so I still have my immortal buff, so I can keep using it. And so I'm going to get a little bit of, I'm going to be able to get some chip damage in here. That's another 28 trillion. And with everything that's added in there, with a nuke, I was able to take it out on the second hit. So sometimes I can take it out in a single hit. Sometimes it takes me 2 hits. But you saw here, what happens here is because there's a 3-turn boost from High Performance Unit Area, you can keep damaging it using your Silent Night that only has a 1-turn cooldown. Okay, and Dirk, welcome to the stream from Austria. All right, now we're going to take a look at our third team, and let's take a look here. So I think for some of these I'm going to, okay, so here's another boss that I can go ahead and use. So we're going to take a look at my third setup here. The team name is going to be a little bit confusing because I didn't really name them very well. I didn't bother changing them. But this is the third setup here. Again, using High Performance Unit Area, but this time I am using 2 support cards, okay? 2 Annie and Spark Plug cards. Because if you have 2 support cards, you're always going to be able to activate your battle skills for your Light Slayer. And yes, I am using Silent Night, and yes, I am using Star Song Wolfpack. That may not be a card that everybody has, but again, what I'm showing here is what I have and what I can potentially use. And because I'm using, because I am focused on, because I already have the cards that can give me battle skills, because Annie and Spark Plug will always be able to activate, and they spawn 10 gems when you activate them. What I can focus on is just getting enough, I'll just show you in 3 keys. What I can focus on is just getting my High Performance Unit Area powered up, and then I could go ahead and use my Annie to then okay, so you can see here I don't actually have any light gems in here, and so all I have to do is focus on matching my dark gems so that my High Performance Unit Area can be activated. So I'm gonna go ahead and activate it here, and you can see still don't really have enough light gems to activate or to allow my Star Song Wolfpack to be activated, but that's okay because I can go ahead and use Annie. And when I use Annie, I can also overwrite a lot of the dark power gems there, and then I can upgrade them all using Star Song Wolfpack afterwards. So now let's take a look. So this is going to be a 2 support card setup with High Performance Unit that's going to power up Silent Night. And Silent Night in this case only deals 36, but keep in mind, like, this is using 2 support cards, okay, and no killer skill. Okay, this is a deck that has no killer skill. But what you can do here is you can activate this every turn. And what I didn't, so like the problem is I'm going up against fear, and ultimately if you're going up against like Power Gem Silence, it's going to be a little bit easier for you. What I wanted to show is that you can activate this every turn plus, and then every 2 turns for the upgrade. So I think it's better if I can find a boss that is Power Gem Silence rather than Alacrity will be okay, but I feel like this is going to die pretty quickly. But what I wanted to show is, you know, this is a deck that's actually really quick. So even though you can't get like big damage on a single one, keep in mind, again, this one has no killer skill. Okay, this one, I mean, except for the support card, there isn't really a killer skill that applies to all of my Light Slayer cards. Okay, But what I am doing is I am taking advantage of the boost from high performance unit area to then power up the rest of my cards. And given that they all have a 1-turn cooldown, so what I can do is I can go ahead and do this. I can go ahead and activate in order here. Okay, notice that the high performance unit area boost for all Immortals is still active, and I can still activate my 2 support cards and my Silent Knight the very next turn. So this time around did a little bit better with 51 trillion, and I can activate this one more time. Boost is still available. It's not going to be as big of damage because my power gems aren't upgraded, but the next turn I'll be able to do that. So this one gives me 9.9. Hopefully I can get one more attack in there. Unfortunately, I couldn't, but you can see how this deck actually works really well. I can keep going, right? I can actually do this really quickly. So if I have a boss that I've spawned myself, I'll come back to this team to show you how you can cycle the attack really quickly. And in fact, I do have a boss right here. Let's see if this is... Unfortunately, Sphere. Like, what I don't like is this. So this deck wouldn't work well against Sphere because you have Power Gem Silence, you have... Dispel from either the support card or from the high performance area, so like you're not really worried about it. Now this one is, again, it's Fear. So Fear is actually one I see a lot and don't want to deal with it. So maybe we can use this instead. And what I can do is, this one is Power Gem Silence, so I'm going to use 1 key for this case. And then I'll move on to the next setup. So this one, again, no killer skill, but with the proper boost and the fact that this is a really, really fast deck, it sort of makes up for it. Okay, and so again, we're going to use 1 key here, and then we're going to see how well we can do. And so we're going to go ahead and activate here. So then, like I said, like this will either be dispelled or high performance unit area will just dispel it for you afterwards, even if you miss. And then we're going to go ahead and activate all of this. I might even actually kill this boss in a single turn. Who knows? We'll see. All right, so this is 1 key, and I think with 1 key, I should be able to deal a few trillion here. Maybe, yeah, I can actually deal 10 trillion here. So I can actually easily kill a Ruby boss here. So it's really hard for me to get that rhythm going because I couldn't find a boss that is not Fear. We'll get back to it if I see it. Now let's take a look at another team. Okay, so this one is 2 support cards with high performance unit area without killer skill. Now we're going to go back to using a killer skill, and this time we're going to take advantage of Sirens. So I mentioned that Sirens is a little bit harder to deal with, and so this is one example of how you can help yourself. So if you have Headstrong Siren, so I purchased this card from the Proving Ground store. I used my Proving Ground store tokens for this because I know that this can be helpful. And Lost Kingdom Guardians is going to be very useful because of its ability for haste. So these are the 2 cards I have for this particular setup. I will show you another one that uses Headstrong that doesn't require it, but this one makes it a lot easier. Again, go back to Supreme Elohim, Star Song, and then Relentless Scholars. It's going to, like, for my Light Slayer cards, it's going to revolve around similar cards just because that's what I have. In terms of the Relic, because I have Lost Kingdom Guardians, I don't need to worry about building out a... I don't need to worry about having a lot of water gems from the relics because I will supply myself. So I'm going to go ahead and attack here, and I'll show you the damage possibility for this particular setup, and then this boss will probably be gone, then we can move on to the next one. All right. So with this particular setup, what you're doing is you're going to have to make sure that you use your Lost Kingdom Guardians first. If you activate that, you're going to get the power up for Sirens. Okay, and now we're gonna just go ahead and activate. I activated in the wrong order here. I should have activated my Elohim first, and then my Stars on Wolfpack. So it's the damage is going to be a little bit off. So the best way here is to simply switch the 2. And you can see I'm dealing 217 or 270 plus a nuke damage from my scholars. Okay, but what I was saying here is to make it easier for you so you don't make a mistake, what I would recommend is actually put your Star Song Wolfpack at the end so that you can just simply go in a particular order. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Supreme Elohim be the leader, Relentless Scholars next, and then I will have Star Song Wolfpack be activated last. Okay, and so let's see. We'll just go ahead and activate. We'll just go ahead and attack again, just because the boss is still alive. And we're going to activate in the correct order so we can see the best possible amount of damage I can deal here. Again, you'll see that I'll be able to charge up my light Slayer cards, and then because I have Lost Kingdom Guardians that has haste, I can always guarantee to activate it. And then I'll always be able to power up my Headstrong Sirens. And then I'm just going to go ahead and activate from right to the left this time, activating my Starsong Wolfpack last. And then with this setup, this is going to be the optimal, and you want to make sure that you can, unfortunately, the way that the power gems are set up, I don't have a great, the way it's sort of scattered, I don't have a good combination here. So let's see how much we can do for our, so 243 is the damage I'll be able to deal with my Scholars, but I have a 1.5 times nuke afterwards. So let's say it's 250, just to round it up. That's an additional 250 plus 125, 375. I can deal another 375 on top of that. So that basically gives me a little over 600 trillion from that particular damage. So it's actually pretty good, right? So if you can do if you can, get one full attack in, that's 600 trillion. If you can get another attack in there with the boost, then that's going to be 1.2 quadrillion right there. And so this setup is capable of doing some pretty good damage. And now let's take a look at another team that I have here. So that was the fourth setup. And then this one here doesn't actually... it doesn't actually use Lost Kingdom Guardians. And instead what I have here is I have, again, bringing back Annie and Sparkplug, the support card. This is the card that I'm using to help me provide more gems. This one is a little bit less reliable though, but I will still go through the cards. So I'm using Annie and Sparkplug, again, the same sort of cards here, Supreme with Relentless Scholars, and then bringing in, once again, couldn't stress enough how important this card was. It was to the point where I used all my coins for this particular deck instead of the fire deck last season, because this is a very useful card. That's why like upgrade cards are going to be very, very useful in all situations. And then here's the Headstrong Sirens. If you take a look at the relics here, my focus is actually on the water relics. So what happens here is in order to power up your Headstrong Sirens, you just need to make sure that you can get 16 or more water gems on the board at any given time, and you'll get the boost. And so having 3 water relics in the beginning, it will actually power up your Headstrong Sirens first, and then one single Annie and Sparkplug is going to fill up my light heroes with 50% of the battle skill. That means all I need is one column of Gem Crush, and I'll be able to power up the cards. And so the thing here is it's sometimes unreliable in that sometimes it doesn't get me any Gem Crush, but as long as I get a single light Gem Crush, then this setup will work. So let's take a look here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're not going to get a Gem Crush, and so that's sort of like the issue right here. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to now try to get our water. So this is a bad example right here because I didn't actually even. And this is what I mean. It's unreliable. So the first thing you have to make sure to do is you have to be able to try and get the power up, and you also need the Gem Crush to happen. So it's a little bit risky. But if you can get it to happen, this works pretty well because you have a pretty solid team. Okay, so here you see we have, there you go. So now we have our power up from Sirens. We get one column of power of Gem Crush. That's all we needed, and then we can go ahead and activate all of this. We will go ahead and activate Annie as well, so we can get some more Gem Crush, and then we're going to go ahead and activate our Starsong Wolfpack. Now let's take a look and see how much damage we can deal with our Scholars here. So 225. This one is actually a little bit less than what we would have expected, mostly because this one is lacking one of the power. This one, the way the power gems was the way the power gems were, how should I say this, aligned, weren't that great. And the reason is because I think the activation order I did was not great. So I'm going to show you one more time what it should have been like, so we can see if we have better damage here. And so here we go. We have our upgrade. We have the power gems not power gem. We have the battle skills available. I'm actually going to activate Annie first. I wanted to get all of those power gems out of the way, those gem crushers out of the way actually first. Now let's go ahead and activate our Star Song Wolfpack and see if we can get a little bit better damage output here. And so we're going to go ahead and do the 10 and 12 here. And now let's pay attention again. It's going to be boosting our Relentless Scholars. Let's see how much damage we can deal on that one. So 234. So still not as good as the previous one that I showed you. But that's okay, right? So like 234, that's almost the same because I was dealing about 250. So yeah, 250, and so it's almost the same. I was expecting it to be a little bit better, but mostly just because in this setup, I'm using the Lost Kingdom Guardians, which is a bit more safer way to activate Headstrong Sirens. Whereas if you don't have that card, you could still make it work. You just have to make sure that you can also power up your light cards. And so this is where using the haste ability of this event deck really helps out. I want to see, let's see if I have another deck here, and I do. So this is another version that uses 2 Annies with Relentless Scholars and then Star Song Wolfpack. So the only Light Slayer ultimate form I'm using here is the Relentless Scholars. And honestly, like, this is an old ultimate form, and if you have, you know, Astro Anomalies or this particular event, ultimate form, you're going to be doing better. And here I have just 1 light relic in here, and I have all water relics in here. You can actually put all water if you want it to. It doesn't really matter because I have 2 Annies in here. I'll be able to activate the battle skill for all of my light slayers anyway, regardless. And so this is another one that is a very easy way to play this deck, where you can use your water relics, not your light relics, but water relics, to power up everything for you and still be able to guarantee that you can activate everything. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and activate my 2 Annies so I can convert a lot of the blue power gems, and then I can do an upgrade here. So this is not going to be that great though, because you can just see like there wasn't that many power gems to upgrade or to create. But let's see how well we do here with that boost. And this one is a little bit weaker, and it's 104, but with the nuke for 150, we're dealing a total of 250. Okay, and we can actually activate this every 2 turns as well. It's just that unfortunately what we're not going to get is we're not going to get the boost from Sirens, because we didn't actually match enough water gems to be able to power it. If we were to power it up, then we would have been able to, you know, spawn some power gems, water power gems, and also break some of the non-water gems to get 16 on the board. But as it is, we don't have enough, and we can actually try and see. We couldn't match enough. So this is one of those decks where it's really just kind of like a one-time deal to get your maximum damage. And you can see, like, without the boost, okay, so without any of the boost from Sirens, let's take a look and see how much we're talking about here. So with the boost, we were dealing about 100, right, pre-nuke. And then without the boost, we dropped down to about 12.9. And so you can see that's like almost 10 times difference here without the boost. But all of these, you know, are just ideas for how you can play around with the setup you have. Mine is going to be slightly weaker than the Astro Anomalies because it's only 6 times damage boost instead of 9 times. But slightly stronger than if you had, Relentless Colors at 1 pink star. So sort of you can use that to gauge how much damage you might expect to be able to deal. And notice that too, like I sort of stopped at Prestige 6 because I don't expect that I'll be able to take on I know I can't take on the Radiance anyway. And so I'm just going to focus on my Diamond bosses, and I'll get some damage in, probably 20% or so for the Corellian bosses. I could go up to Prestige 7, to be honest with you, because I could still see the Diamond bosses. And that is one I can 1-key. I could potentially get 20% on the Corellium, and so that is a choice I can make whenever I want to. And so these are the teams that I've come up with for this particular setup, for this particular event. I think some of the key things here is the support card is one of those rare times where I find it useful. it's very rare that I include a support card in my setup in general, but in this particular case, I've found that it can be quite useful as well, just because of its ability to charge your Slayer battle skills. Okay, so you see that again, like I did take advantage fully of my card that does the power gem upgrade. If you don't have Starstorm Wolfpack, but you have the the ultra rare version, which is going to be Inaris, right? So if you have full moon Lunaris, that will do the same thing. You can get some power from that as well. So this is probably not something that everybody can replicate fully, but play around with the cards that you have. If you don't have the like I showed you here, if you don't have the killer skill, but you have Silent Knights, you can then use the Immortal Killer. Or if you have Arcane, I don't. Okay, so I didn't show any Arcane cards because I don't have any Light Slayer Arcanes. Can you believe that? So if you take a look at Arcane Killer for Light Slayer, I don't have, except for Hellboy. I mean, I have Hellboy, so that's something I could potentially use, but it's so old that it's not really going to do much here. You can use that, and you can pair that with potentially, Jailers, or you can pair that with Circuit Break Hilaria. But because I don't have a good arcane light card, I couldn't really showcase it. But you could sort of play around with these ideas as well. That might be helpful for you. But in the situation where you need to be able to charge up your light slayer cards and an off affinity booster card, using your support cards in here can be very helpful, because then you can focus on all of your relics to charge up, for example, your high performance unit area or your circuit break Hilaria. So those are going to be sort of the suggestions I have for you for using non-event team with an off affinity power booster. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. This has been pretty interesting for me to try and find some various ways to build up a deck for this event, simply because I don't have any other options to do so. But I did find that the introduction of the support card and its ability has made it a lot more fun for me to think about this a little bit. So I've enjoyed that aspect. Hopefully you enjoy this as well. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Thanks a lot for those of you who've joined me in the stream. And I know that this is more of just me talking nonstop here, but hopefully you've enjoyed it and has been helpful. So that's going to be it from me for today, guys. Going to keep this video as short as I could. It's already 30 minutes, so I know it's not that short, but